look at this little chart I created for you. Whatever is in nearby, within our kind of purview, within our range, whatever is nearby has a full range of contrast, from the darkest dark to the lightest light. As things move into distance, there is kind of an in-between area. So that area between where we are and that furthest distance is changing in contrast. That's this area right here. The darks drop off. The darkest darks drop off. Sometimes the lightest lights drop off. Sometimes you might think you see some of the lightest lights there. So what's actually happening is that as things move into distance, the contrast narrows down. So I've taken the photo, and you can see that I've put the background, which I'm calling the away space. I've isolated it away and did a little tweaking to it so you can't even see the tree there. So that is one area of space that we're dealing with. And then below it, I've isolated the middle ground. That's what we're calling the between area. And remembering that that area is only going to be in partial contrast. And then I've isolated the foreground, or the area that we're calling nearby. That is the one that's going to have the widest range of contrast. Now, there's one thing that's really fascinating about aerial perspective, and that is we actually have a gradation of contrast going on. Just sort of give us the feeling of grasses. This is not real grass in here, it doesn't matter. I'm sort of just responding to the texture right in here. And that too is, though not in shadow, it's still in the, what we don't know whatever other language to use except to say that it's the darkest part of not in shadow. The darkest part of light. You know, that's about like saying gradating contrast. But you know, these things are part of our language. They're part of what we tell ourselves so that we can communicate what we're doing. And this fall, I've got that indicated as in shadow, but it's both down there. So let's just let that fall like that. And then this area over here is not in shadow. It's in a stronger light. And so we raise the value, come into the cadmium yellow deep mixture. Let's see here. That pretty much, it sort of communicates that color. So, all right, so let's just kind of flip that in. And now I'm going to, it kind of shows a little bit of gradation. There is some of this, let's go just do that a different way. You see, it's a little bit of the brown pointing through, popping through there where we see a little bit of earth. I want now to address those rocks, of the rocky area of this frontal. This is where it's the strongest contrast is, right in here. The way I'm dividing this thing into thirds like this, this is for the sake of study. That doesn't mean that when you go out and do plein air painting that you have to divide your paintings in thirds. This is for the sake of observation, for our being able to observe what happens as with contrast as things move into distance. And we're speaking of a wide range of contrast. It doesn't mean that everything in there has got to have contrast all over the place. We're talking about the areas that are in shadow being a stronger contrast in comparison with the areas in light. So that's what we're attempting to build here. So we're going to have here, now this area I'm building in seems to be more of what's in light. Not much shadow, that's a field. And so we don't have much shadow there. Okay, then but we do see a little bit of shadow where that grass line goes, and there is where we consider the whole contrast issue. That's too dark. Let's get that a little bit closer. Okay, that's got to be a closer value. See, that, let's sort of shadow area of the taller grasses, the shadow that's falling under the taller grasses there. And there's a shadow there in the distance, that's a fence line shadow. So what I'm doing now is I'm simply throwing in what would be the shadow shapes I'm seeing in the background. I'm going to raise that up, way up in the sky. Now, we also know that things in the distance are taking on the color of the sky. I want to give a little bit heightened contrast to that water right there and right there, just to emphasize or to emphasize the theme of the contrast. That needs to be the sky color. Well, all right. Let's see here. Contrast, contrast, contrast. Less contrast. Now this is where I would tweak it just a little bit to show that that in between contrast. So it jumped a little bit more abrupt than I like for it to jump, and so let's just do a little bit of tweaking here. We'll just put a little bit more hue in it because I think I felt I transitioned to gray a little bit soon. So I'll just throw just a little bit more, and we'll keep that in the middle value area. Throw a little bit more hue, yeah, in here than we're actually seeing.